minds are clever, big minds are foolish, shrewd but unwise. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. It was a summer day in 1976 when I, age 19, served as the Deputy Secretary and Document Officer of the Production Brigade. This brigade comprised 5 natural villages with a total of 11 production teams. 5 teams were made up of relocated residents from the Lujiaxia Reservoir, while the other 6 were local residents, including 2 Muslim villages. Due to the diverse composition, I handled matters and spoke with extreme caution. I never dared to offend any production team. The best way to maintain smooth production operations, I learned, was to be fair and humble, respecting all the elderly. My father taught me, wherever you go, as long as you respect and show politeness to the elderly, you will not have major troubles. Therefore, I always held respect for all the elders in the brigade close to my heart and translated it into my actions. Strangely enough, just this tactic of respecting the elders allowed me to serve as the local emperor for 3 years peacefully and smoothly. Among all the elders in the brigade, there was one who left an indelible memory with me. He was a landlord. His family's courtyard walls were the highest and thickest, and their gate tower was the most magnificent. Before liberation, he gradually gave his land to tenant farmers and distributed his property among relatives and neighbors. Therefore, after liberation, the government gave him the classification of an enlightened landlord. He escaped the hardships of various political movements, including the Cultural Revolution. He also sent his son, in the 1950s, to Tsinghua University. I knew this elderly man was quite astute. Whenever I met him, I was always respectful. He seemed to have some fondness for me, a son of a poor farmer. Between us, there seemed to be no class hatred, and certainly, there was no ethnic resentment. That day, in my leadership capacity, I went to the greening station for an inspection, wanting to assess the survival rate and growth status of the fruit trees planted there. Coincidentally, this elderly man was there too, and we started chatting. First, I praised the young people in their village for being smart. During our middle and high school years, several young people from their village dropped out to earn money and support their families. All those who continued their education ultimately returned to the village to farm, seemingly wasting a few years of their time. Unexpectedly, this elderly man said something that deeply resonated with me. He said, "Those young people have clever small minds and foolish big minds." "What do you mean?" I asked, puzzled. He adjusted his beard and explained, "In a person's life, especially during adolescence, laying a good foundation is essential. If the foundation is poorly built, no matter how much effort you put in later, there will not be much future. With a solid foundation, efforts pay off double. Without it, efforts pay off half as much." Those with clever small minds are always lazy in laying foundations, eager for fame and profit, while those with clever big minds prioritize laying a solid foundation, even if it means temporarily giving up fame and profit. The result is that those eager for fame and profit end up with nothing, while those who temporarily gave up fame and profit for the foundation eventually achieve fame and profit. Those young people in our village who didn't go to school but went to earn money may seem to have gained a lot, but they've ruined their lives. So, I say they have clever small minds and foolish big minds. Small minds being clever and big minds being foolish has been a guiding light for me since then. If one seeks mere survival, having a clever small mind is sufficient. But to attain wisdom and expand the meaning of life, the smarter one's small mind, the more they cause trouble and harm. One must abandon small cleverness and strive to develop a clever big mind. Although both small cleverness and big cleverness are forms of intelligence, they operate in vastly different dimensions of time and space. One is concerned with pursuing immediate gains in the present moment, while the other looks to the future, seeking long-term gains. Ordinary people are clever with small minds, but foolish with big minds. Only those accomplished saints and sages possess a foolish, small mind and a clever big mind. The clever small mind focuses on the present, while the clever big mind plans for the future. The clever small mind is eager to display itself, while the clever big mind is busy seeking the truths of the universe. The clever small mind aims for the brilliance of life, while the clever big mind aims for the eternal nature of life. 是生命不朽的小法则 Laws which keep life immortal. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Yu. Every morning, turning on the tap to wash my face, I noticed that the initial water flow was murky and not clear. This happened every day. It then dawned on me that life truly resides in movement. The house I lived in had 3 bathrooms. Once, one of them had a leak and was temporarily closed. Since there were 2 others available, there was no hurry to repair it. To prevent anyone from using it, my partner not only covered the toilet seat but also sealed it with transparent tape. However, she overlooked dealing with the water remaining at the bottom of the toilet. About 10 days later, we noticed tiny flies frequently flying in the hallway. Our room was cleaned daily by the floral workers, and it was challenging to find even a speck of dirt. Throughout the year, we rarely saw flies. Why did they suddenly appear? Despite searching everywhere, my partner and I couldn't locate the source of the issue. My partner prefers cleanliness and tidiness. She not only got upset at the sight of a group of flies, but if even a single fly appeared in the room, she had to either crush it to dust or chase it out to feel at ease. As expected, while I was typing at the computer, I suddenly heard her excitedly exclaim, as if she had discovered a new continent, "Honey, I found it." I went over to take a look, and there were already hundreds of tiny flies hovering inside the toilet she had opened. The water at the bottom of the toilet, once clear, had turned murky and filthy. We used a bucket to flush the water and then sprayed it with a solution called Toilet Active Kills Germs for washing. Finally, we scrubbed it with a cleaning agent. After more than 3 hours, all the flies retreated and the room returned to cleanliness. The lessons from these 2 natural phenomena are: flowing water does not stagnate, and a door hinge does not get worms. With both coming and going, peace naturally prevails. A further lesson is, water only stays pure when it keeps flowing. Life remains eternal only when it keeps moving. Movement is life. Stillness is death. As life comprises 2 parts, the physical body and the spiritual soul, it demands simultaneous movement in both aspects. For the physical body, a person must be active regularly to keep the circulation of qi and blood flowing. This circulation effectively delivers nutrients and oxygen to all parts of the body, keeping the body vibrant. For the spiritual soul, this movement requires continuous thinking without allowing the brain to remain dormant. Similar to water flowing from its source to rivers and oceans for eternal existence, life must connect with the past and envision higher-level life spaces to endure eternally. We often lament someone's rigid thinking, likening them to rigid wood that's difficult to carve. The reason behind this is that they adhere to their own views and confine their thinking within a dead pool of specific doctrines, ideologies, thoughts, or isms. Over time, they unknowingly become rotten and stinky, neither accepting new thoughts, fresh water, nor willing to come out of their closed well to flow into rivers and oceans. As a result, not only does their original purity deteriorate, but they also create many flies, polluting the surrounding air and environment. For instance, major religions consider their own religion as the only true one, branding all others as false. They clutch onto a few scrolls and seek disciples everywhere, advocating the pure nature, eternity, and truth of their dead pool, showing such stubborn bias and ignorance that they are unaware of their own extremity. What future could they possibly have? For example, some scientists believe that only scientific matters are universally applicable truths, and that only science can ultimately save humanity. They prefer to run vigorously on a one-way street, completely ignoring the existence of the non-material world and negative universe. Can they see through everything? For example, 最后一趟航班, the last flight. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Yu. A friend of mine, busy buying gifts, ended up running late on the way back and encountered traffic due to another accident. Helplessly, they missed the last flight and were forced to stay at Bangkok Airport in Thailand for a day. During journeys, missing the last mode of transport often happens. Whether it is a bus, a ship, or a plane, there is always one last trip within a day. If missed, one has to wait for several hours, or even days. However, when it comes to life's final flight, missing it means waiting not just for a few days, years, or several decades, but potentially for centuries, millennia, or tens of thousands of years. The saying, "too late for regrets," profoundly resonates with those who've missed life's final flight. During life's journey, it's crucial to be aware of the departure time of the last flight and allocate sufficient time to catch it. To board that last flight,